This episode of the D-Lew podcast is brought to you by Happy Wrap. You ever wanted to design your very own gift wrapping paper? Now is your chance to do so. Whether it's for the holiday season, weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, no matter what the occasion calls for, you can use Happy Wrap to wrap your gifts. As a matter of fact, you can even design notebooks, greeting cards, gift tags, and so much more. You can sign up today at happy.thedlewpodcast.com and use the promo code DLEW to get your 10% discount at checkout. Again, that's happy.thedlewpodcast.com and use promo code DLEW to get your 10% discount at checkout. By Simpler Hair Color. Hey guys, are you tired of using that drugstore hair dye brand that isn't getting the job done? If you want to use a great product to cover those grays, have no fear, Simpler Hair Color is here. No mixing, no dripping, no mess. It's super easy to use, whether you're a beginner or a pro. Go to simpler.thedlewpodcast.com and use promo code DLEW10 for your 10% discount at checkout. Again, that's simpler.thedlewpodcast.com and use my promo code DLEW10 for your 10% discount at checkout. And by WWE Shop with Fanatics. Get your favorite WWE superstars merchandise and wear them proud with superstars like the OTC Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley, the Second City Saint CM Punk, John Cena, Main Event Jey Uso, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, and so many more. Oh, by the way, they got some really cool championship belts in there as well. So go to wrestling.thedlewpodcast.com. Again, that's wrestling.thedlewpodcast.com so you can go to WWE Shop with Fanatics. This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production. Welcome to another edition of the D-Lew podcast brought to you by Believe Network. I'm your host, Derrick T. Lewis, and I hope you all had a wonderful week. Obviously, off the heels of a crazy NFL championship weekend, obviously, conference championship weekend. Now the stage is set for February the 9th in New Orleans, Louisiana at the Superdome as the Philadelphia Eagles will take on the reigning two-time Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. And we shall see, how that's all going to pan out. But of course, this episode this week, Gabby's back. Again, we're talking about pro wrestling, the matriarch of the D-Lew podcast. And we're going to be breaking down, this coming weekend's Royal Rumble, as well as recapping this past weekend's Saturday night's main event. And we're going to sprinkle, of course, our favorite Rumble moments and matches, over the years. And let's not wait any longer. The Saturday night's main event recap and the Royal Rumble preview with me and Gabby starts right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, she's back gracing us with her presence. Again, she is the matriarch of the D-Lew podcast when it comes to the world of professional wrestling, the one and only Gabby. Thank you so much. How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. We're off the heels of actually, an incredible Saturday night's main event, but also NFL championship weekend, with the Kansas City Chiefs, beating the Buffalo Bills, and of course the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh my God. I did not see that coming. I was picking I was like, okay, I thought the Eagles would win, but I thought that the Washington Commanders would give them, and they were in it. It was like 14-12, I think it
Yeah,
was.
whooped.
And it just like you predicted, a certain someone was going to get washed. And we'll talk about that in a little while. But we want to start off by talking about, it's been official. It was reported by Fightful. Shout out to Sean Ross Sapp and the team over there that the recently free, I guess you can call it a free agent, Jordan Grace is now an official member of WWE's roster. Which show she's going to be on, we don't know, but she just signed her contract today. It's a multi-year deal. Congratulations to Jordan. Wishing her all the best on her journey. And I mean, like I said, just watching her grow as a performer and as a person over the years, it's been so cool to see. And sky's the limit for her. What are your thoughts?
I don't think anyone is shocked. I think
None
we
of us
all
are.
knew that when she was in the Rumble last year. We all knew like the end game, like how much she looked like she belonged, how good she looked, how smooth, how fluid everything was. Like I don't think anyone's shocked. Congratulations. I look forward to seeing her Saturday.
Oh yeah, we all know that's coming. I mean, it's
It's written in
inevitable at this
stone.
point. You know what I
It's written
mean?
in stone.
But like we mentioned, this past Saturday was Saturday night's main event, the second one of the reboot of the show. And again, when I hear the music, when I hear the Jim Johnson version, and of course when I
Hmm.
hear Animotion Obsession, I just get giddy because it just brings me back to my childhood, and just the nostalgia, of the event of the show. Jesse the Body Ventura is back, and he did a great job on commentary, and we'll talk about some stuff with him and Scott Steiner in a little while. That was interesting, but. The opening match, which I was a bit shocked. I thought they were going to close the show with this match, but
Mm-mm.
they opened the show with it. It was for the Women's World Championship as Rhea Ripley defended against Nia Jax. The match was 9 minutes 25 seconds. I got to tell you, this run that Nia Jax is on, I know we've mentioned it before, but she is just next. She's just taking it to the next
Perfect.
level. Just when you thought that she's peaked, she's taking it to another level. But what I love about her is the fact that even on when she's on the defensive end, of taking, some bumps. She took a freaking code red. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That is not an easy move to take.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? And the fact that, she had to do a lot of the work, with
Hmm.
that. And I was just super impressed because again they were all, and again like we mentioned in the first reboot of the Saturday Night's Main Event. These are still we're on it's TV and it's only 2 hours, so it's not a PLE or pay-per-view or whatever the case, and we're showcasing the superstars, but nonetheless, like I said, 9 minutes 25 seconds. Rhea did retain the Women's World Championship, which I thought was going to happen because she just won it back a
Right.
couple of weeks ago on the Netflix debut on Monday Night Raw. What were your thoughts of the match?
I think the two of them have great chemistry. My only thing about Naya right now is like, did we forget that Tiffany? Like, did we forget that whole Tiffany set? Like, what are we doing here?
Mm.
I'm gonna let it rock though for now. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, no, it was a great match. They had great chemistry. I'm not surprised by the ending at all.
Right, like I said, the match was awesome. It was great. It was top quality. But again, like we mentioned last week, like I said, like how on earth did she get a championship match on the Raw brand? And she's still got business to take care of on the other side. So I
Hmm.
mean, who knows? Who knows, what'll happen with all this transfer. I'm calling it the transfer portal because that's what college football's been
Hmm.
doing. But I mean, we just found out that Damian Priest is on SmackDown now. And the
Hmm.
Terror Twins are on opposite shows. When Rhea wrote a heartfelt tweet to Damian
Hmm.
Priest, which I thought was really, really cool. So yeah, man. So kudos to the ladies on opening up, the show, giving the fans, what they paid to see. Obviously, they were in San Antonio, Texas at the Frost Bank Center, 16,406. They are just cooking with these attendances, man. I mean,
Hmm.
it's crazy. I mean, it was even just announced that the Royal Rumble just cracked 60,000 seats sold for this coming Saturday.
Insane.
They are in the money. And of course, the second match. Oh, I can't forget about this. That LA Knight. It was a dark match. It was a LA Knight against Carmelo Hayes. I understand you got to get the crowd hype. Man, Melo's been on this losing streak, man. What is going on with my boy?
He's been on losing streak for like what, a year now at this point. He's been called up for about a year. So yeah.
I mean, I get it. People pay. I mean, I like him. A lot of people do like him, but
Hmm.
I wonder, are they just kind of there's some type of story arc that's happening with him that I think that people are gonna maybe get sympathy for him, or maybe he might get a heater. Whoop that trick. Whoop that trick.
I
Trick and
think they need to
Mellow.
keep the two of them away. I mean, they need to keep each other away for a bit. Like, I don't think so. I think they need to stay away from each other for a little bit because Trick needs to sink or swim.
Mhm.
So I think that attaching him to Mello is gonna, you know what I mean? Like it's, I don't know if that's gonna work on the main roster. It worked fine in NXT, and I mean, let those two boys. You know what I mean? You don't always need a partner. You don't always need your heater. So I kind of want to see them stay apart for a while. I'm not saying they can't come back together or cross paths in a few years or
Hmm.
so, but for not keeping them apart.
Yeah, but like I said, LA Knight, like I said, did win the match. There was no time listed on what it was. Like I said, it was a dark match just to make sure the cameras were working, getting the
Hmm.
crowd going before they went live on NBC and Peacock. But the next match was for the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker defended the championship against Sheamus. And again, just everything you would expect out of of a match with these two. I mean, Braun Breaker is just a hard hitting SOB. I mean, he is full force. Like it's the intensity of Goldberg, the smack talk of his uncle, and he looks like his dad. You know what I mean? Like that's a pretty good pedigree, to come in with. But when you can, I guess when you think of a professional wrestler and what a pro wrestler looks like, one of the guys you look at is Braun Breaker. And I mean, Jesse Jesse Ventura had said something on commentator. He said, you know what else? He's a Steiner. Two
Hmm.
plus two equals five. I'm like, oh my God.
Never doubt Steiner math. Never
Oh
doubt
my
Steiner
God.
math.
And Scott Steiner took the X/Twitter and he said, the next time I see you, I'm gonna smack you in your face. Oh
Never doubt
man.
Steiner math, man.
You
Never
never know.
doubt
Hey, the
Steiner
Steiner
math.
meth is forever, just like Wu-Tang, right? But
Facts.
yeah, but like I said, it was just a hard-hitting match, something that everyone's gonna enjoy. If you want to call it a mini meat match, I guess you can call it a meat match that we expect, but pause. I've never said pause on this show before until today. I'm very first on the D-Lew podcast on Believe Network. But nonetheless, Braun Breaker did pin Sheamus to retain the Intercontinental Championship. What were your thoughts on the match?
So, do I think that Sheamus is going to get his Grand Slam this year? Yes. But I think it needs to be on a bigger stage. So I didn't see him winning it
No, no.
on Saturday Night Main Event. I think he's going to get it at like SummerSlam perhaps. But
I
I
could see
definitely would
SummerSlam
not.
happening.
I could see him Survivor Series. I could see him on like a bigger stage. No offense to Saturday Night Main Event, but I
No,
think he
no,
needs
no.
to win on a bigger stage. So I think it's coming sometime this year. I think he'll get it this year. He's getting a little old, young in the tooth. He's getting a little old. I think it's time to give him his Grand Slam.
I loved when Jesse had mentioned how he was on commentary when Sheamus won that Battle
Hmm.
Royal to become that was in 2009.
Yeah.
And then he eventually went on to become the WWE champion, beating John Cena. I can't believe it was that long ago of how long he's been. Because remember, he was on ECW for just a hot minute and just went to the main roster. Like he was ready, ready. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So kudos to Sheamus. Of course, there was the contract signing for the WWE Undisputed Championship match at the Royal Rumble, obviously between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. But of course, when you're in San Antonio, Texas, you gotta have the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Just a sexy boy, sexy boy. You gotta have him out there. It was really cool to see Shawn on TV. But I love just attention to detail. They had the back of Kevin Owens and he had a red shirt on. I said he's got to have something crazy. And what does he have? Cody sucks eggs. And for those that know or don't know, that is paying homage to the late great Terry Funk when Terry Funk and Dusty had their feud in the 70s when he called Dusty Rhodes, "You egg sucking dog, Dusty Rhodes." And it's crazy how like in kayfabe in real life they carried that feud on for years, just for,
Hmm.
two Texas guys. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Dusty and Terry Funk actually went to the same college. They played on the
Mm.
same college football team. There is a list, believe it or not, of professional wrestlers that went to West Texas State University and played football there. Ted
Mm.
DiBiase, Tully Blanchard, Dusty Rhodes, Tito Santana, believe it or not.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. There was quite a
So
few
they're a
pro
fever.
wrestlers.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, just like we could talk about the Robbinsdale High School in Minnesota. That whole crew with Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect. The list goes. It's all these these stories about just pro
Hmm.
wrestlers and how they've kind of come from this one area. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, KO does come out with the shirt, of course, with the Winged Eagle WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes comes out. and they're standing, and Sean's holding court, and Cody signs the contract. Kevin Owens looks at it, and he said, "I'm not going to sign it." And he goes to talk smack about how it was just typical, you know, I'm right and you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Kevin has a point. You know, all these times that the bloodline beat me down, tried to end my career, and what do? You help them. I mean, Kevin's right. And Sean said that, "Could you please sign the contract?" And then he goes and said, "Are you jealous?" And that's when Kevin looked at him like, "Whoa." You know what I mean? And of course, Kevin signs the contract. He comes in the middle. Next thing you
Mm-hmm.
know, he punches Sean. He punches Sean. Punches Cody. They're going at it. They're fisticuffs. And what does Sean do? Tunes up the band. Sweet chin music. I loved how Kevin Owens sold it. I mean, he just laid there and was just like, "Oh,
He rolled away.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah." So, do you think this is done the right way? This segment?
I loved it. It's funny. I was live tweeting for Lip Gloss and Ladders, and I knew I had a feeling that HBK was gonna take a hit, but it ended up switching around. HBK giving a hit because it dawned on me like,
Yeah.
yeah, HBK is not gonna take a hit in San Antonio. Like he's gonna
No.
deliver the hit. So it
No,
checks.
not at all. Yeah, that was a nice segment. It was a nice touch, and like I said, and they ended it by putting the titles on
Mm-hmm.
the rung. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, we shall see what happens. With this whole shebang this coming Saturday. But the next match, which everybody is talking about, and I mean everybody, and we'll get to what we predicted in a minute. But we had Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman. First of all, the promo
Mm-hmm.
that Jacob Fatu did on the way to the ring. It's official now. They're taking the leash off.
Yeah. Tell him to go. Baby cook. Let him cook.
And I mean, he said, he's either you win here, you get in, you fit in. He either get
Mm-hmm.
in, we fit in. Oh my God, it was so much that he said. He said, "I'm gonna beat your ass post to post on NBC from coast to coast."
Let him cook. Let him cook.
Oh my God. And to go to the ring, and Braun comes out. And again, just two tough guys in there fighting. You know what I mean? There was nothing finesse about this match
No.
at all.
No.
The match ends in a disqualification, and Braun's laying in the corner, and he is just running into him, doing the Umaga, you know, slash Rakishi, butt to the face, in the corner. Was it 7 or 8 times, whatever that was?
Mm-hmm.
And then they tried holding him back. Referees, security,
Everyone.
everybody. He leaves the ring, comes back and does 2 or 3 moonsaults
Oh,
on
yeah.
Braun. And you see Braun bleeding, helpless. Now, if memory serves me right, I think about a couple days ago, D-Lew podcast. Season premiere, by the way. You can guys listen to it on the archives. YouTube too. Watch it there. I think 2 people that you're looking at right now actually kind of predicted this is going to happen.
We
Based
both were
off
right.
of, I mean, based off of what we saw, because we're like, wait a minute, like we can't clearly Braun. We're not going to have Braun take a pin. And if we're
Mm-mm.
building up Jacob Fatu,
He
we
ain't
sure
taking a
as hell
pen.
would no, no. I said a count out or disqualification, but when you know, but you were more right than I was. I said count out, but it was a DQ. But you said Braun's going to get washed, and I'm thinking, I don't know. But oh boy, were you right? Your
So
thoughts
here's
on the
my
match?
thoughts on that.
Go ahead.
Here's my Gabby theory, right?
Hmm.
So it's a smart way to take them both out of the Rumble, right? Because
Hmm.
Jacob, in theory, should not be losing anybody's Rumble. Braun should not be losing anybody's Rumble. This way, Braun is hurt, and they're going to probably put Jacob on some suspension of some sort where he can't be in the Rumble. So it
Hmm.
protects them both from being in the Rumble because we'll get to that later. Neither one
Yeah.
of them are going to win the Rumble. That
No,
was
no,
never the
no, no,
plan.
no, not at
But
all. No.
this protects them both because now they're not in the Rumble. So
Right.
a combination of our theories, right? A DQ and someone getting washed. It kind of
Right.
finesse. But that is my theory as to what's going to happen with that. Because again, I just don't see how Jacob can be in the Rumble and not win it. So that is my theory on that.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest with you, I did not see him getting bloodied the way that he did because for years we've seen Braun Strowman just break people,
Dominate. Mm-hmm.
dominate. I mean, but it humanized him.
Mm-hmm.
It humanized him. Well, I'm going to take a brief moment to talk about something that you're seeing on camera right now. If you're watching the D-Lew podcast on YouTube, and this championship mindset T-shirt slash lost sleeve tee, you can get it over at shop.derricklewis.com. In addition to all of the hoodies, T-shirts, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, you name it. In addition to the water bottle that's on there as well. I just released, in addition to the windbreaker that's available now. So if you go to shop.derricklewis.com, and you can get all the merch and you can rep the D-Lew podcast proudly. All right. So we're going to talk about now the main event of Saturday night's main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. You know, the champion Gunther, defending the title against main event Jey Uso. Now, we both we're saying, okay, it would shock us if Jay did win, but we were just like, nah, pretty much, Gunther was going to walk out with the title. But I got to tell you, there were some close pinfalls, man, that I'm just like, oh boy, is he going to do it? And that is the magic of professional wrestling that I love because there's instances where we really don't know where the finish is going to happen. I experienced that even at the Monster Factory or even ECWA. There are sometimes I don't want to know the finish, but obviously because I am the ring announcer, I have to know the finishes most of the time. So, but there are times where they have switch finishes too, which is pretty cool also. So I love that this match kind of suspended your disbelief because of course you're thinking, hey, ain't no way Gunther's losing this match. So like, oh man, Jay might win this thing.
Mm-hmm.
What was the highlight of the match for you?
There were so many close calls, and
Mhm.
like we mentioned, like yes, it'd be great for Jay to win, but I don't see it happening. And I don't see that major title drop
Mhm.
a few days before the Rumble. I didn't see that happening either. But however, at some point, like so that it's no longer becomes like a glorified house show, they're gonna have to do something on it. We're gonna have to at some point give us something on one of these Saturday night main events. Hopefully down the road they can do some title changes because right now it's kind of just
Mhm.
coming as like a Raw or you know what I mean, like an extension of a regular show.
Mhm.
So at some point they do gotta spice it up, but I didn't see them doing the spice right before a major one of the big four. Like the Rumble was one of the big four. So yeah.
Agreed. And again, they're going to do four Saturday night's main events a year. Now, I can remember as a child title changes that actually took place on Saturday
Correct.
night's main event, and they were two of the men were actually in the crowd on Saturday night. I'm talking about Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, known as the Brainbusters. They defeated Demolition for the WWF Tag Team Championships, and mind you, Demolition had the titles a year and I think 4 months at this point. They had a lengthy title run because they won those titles at WrestleMania 4 when they defeated Strikeforce, and they just
Mm-hmm.
ran the table with the tag. They were heels. Then they became baby faces, and then of course, they were feuding with the Heenan family, and they were, obviously the Brainbusters were managed by Bobby Heenan. Some shenanigans took place, and they became tag team champions. It was huge, and of course, Shawn Michaels became the Intercontinental Champion on the last Saturday night's main event when they went on the hiatus back in '92 when he beat the British Bulldog. So
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the few title changes that took place. I had to really go back into the mental Rolodex. I'm like, dang, very few title changes that took place on a Saturday night's main event. But that was that. All in all, what did you think of this and how it sets the table for the Rumble?
Um, I don't know what I'm just yet. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay. All right, all right. But before we get to the Rumble, obviously, we're fans. We're fans of professional wrestling. And for me, I've been going anytime the Classic Four comes up, I always binge on some of the older older events, older pay-per-view. So whether it's Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, or Survivor Series, I will binge watch some of the old stuff for that nostalgia and just get like, man, like where were we then and where are we now? And I wanted to ask you of like, what were some of your favorite moments of the Royal Rumble throughout the years?
I think that you have to give credit to where credit is due. I think that Naomi's comeback was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that it was kind of one of those not well kept secrets, which I can appreciate sometimes from time to time.
Yeah.
Um, I also, I mean, when you think of the Rumble, I think of the funny moments of the Rumble too, where you think of our truth trying to join the Women's Rumble. And then, of course, right? Like you have to. Come on now, it's our truth, right? And then lastly, like you think of like the Royal Rumble people who have like their spots. So you think of like Naomi and her spots, but you can't think of a spot without thinking of Kofi Kingston.
Kofi Kingston, right?
So that's what I look forward to this weekend. The spots. I look forward to seeing who wins. I look forward to seeing, is the Iron Man gonna win or is number 30 come in and do it? You know what I mean? Like I love that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I think of. What are your favorite moments?
Moments. Wow. Well, I'm gonna actually talk about moments and matches.
Okay.
So I'll do matches first. I would say in regards to matches outside of the Rumble match itself, because I think it's not fair to even, do that. We got to think about and I was in attendance for this match, the street fight between Mick Foley and Triple H, or
Mm,
well, sorry, Cactus Jack and Triple H for the
mhm,
WWF Championship at Rumble 2000. I would have to say the no holds barred match between Shawn. I'm sorry, it was a last man standing match, in which I was in attendance for it. Not, and it has nothing to
mhm.
do with me being in attendance, but between Shawn Michaels and Triple H at the 2004 Royal Rumble in Philly. It hurts me to say this because we're really not supposed to be talking about this individual, but that individual versus Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship at the 2003 Royal Rumble.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to even mention his name. You know who it is.
Yeah.
And I would have to say there's one more match I noticed up there. I'm going through, the years right now, but mm, we'll leave it there for now. But
Okay.
moments, we got to put the surprise. And again, I'm sorry that I was there for some of these moments. John Cena
Mm,
returning at Madison Square Garden as number 30. No one, no one saw it coming.
mhm.
Listen, if you ever, it's one of the most viewed videos on WWE's channel if you look it up. The sound by John Cena.
Mhm.
The missus, her youngest daughter says that John Cena thing all the time, and I actually showed her the origin of where that came from, and she was like, "Oh my God!" Like, yeah,
It's a
that's where it
thing.
came from.
Mhm.
It's a thing. That was a moment. I was also here for this moment, the debut of Taz at Royal Rumble 2000.
Didn't AJ Styles debut at the Royal Rumble too?
Yes, he sure did.
That's what I thought. Okay.
He
Now you're
sure
going
did.
through, got through all that thinking.
2016,
Mhm.
2016. I had a story about that. I was actually in Miami that night at a Madonna concert, and I shut off all of my notifications. I didn't want to know anything.
Mhm.
I said I'm just gonna wait until I get back to the hotel. I didn't get back to the hotel till maybe 2:30 in the morning because Madonna starts her concerts at about, I don't know, 11. Starts really
Mhm.
late. But I got back to my hotel on South Beach. I put on my iPad and I'm watching the Royal Rumble, the whole event. When I tell you how loud
Scream.
I popped for could it be the phenomenal? I'm like, oh my God.
Mhm.
And commentary did such a great job of setting the table, educating the
Magnifying him.
fans of
Mhm.
who, because they said former IWGP champion, same as Brock Lesnar. Those little tidbits of familiarizing the fans with who this guy is.
Mhm.
That's a moment. Obviously, that's a moment too. But Taz everyone kind of knew it was Taz because the rumor was that on the dirt sheets that it was going to be Ken Shamrock, and we're like,
Hmm.
as much as we love Ken, it's got to be Taz.
Hmm.
And when you saw that, it was crazy seeing Taz. And I said it on Twitter because January 23rd was the 25th anniversary of Royal Rumble 2000. Man, I am old. And
Yeah.
I tweeted, I said that pop was not generated by the machine. That was genuine love for a real one. That is a factual fact. I used to watch Taz on ECW 2, 3 in the morning on MSG Network when ECW was not on regular television. You had to find
Hmm.
ECW. And I knew who these guys were 95, 96, and they were killing it, in that small bingo hall in South Philly.
Yep.
But but in another moment, I would say one of my favorite moments. I hope I'm not boring you guys, ladies and gentlemen. But when the red and yellow man and the Ultimate Warrior stood face to face when it was just those two in the ring, because I think it was four of them in the ring. It was red and yellow, Warrior, the model Rick Martel, and a very young Shawn Michaels. They both got thrown out, and the fans rose to their feet. This was the Royal Rumble where my mom took me off punishment for one day because she knew I wanted to watch this.
Oh,
And the
hi,
first thing,
mom.
yeah,
Thanks, mom. Shout
yeah,
out to mom.
she took me off. She took me off punishment. And the first thing to mom, because they had advertised WrestleMania 6 maybe a half hour before it, April 1st, Skydome, Toronto, Canada. My mother was like, April 1st, Derrick, April 1st is gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And that's exactly what happened. So that set the table for one of the biggest main events in history. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I would have to say another moment in Royal Rumble history was Ric Flair winning the WWE Championship and the Royal Rumble match coming in at number three.
Iron Man. Yep.
I mean, that was incredible. The guy that was coming from the WCW, no one thought he was
Hmm.
going to be the champion that fast. But it was pretty cool on how they did it. They stripped red and yellow from the title, and they held it vacant. And then you had the Royal Rumble and the winner, and thus ushered in the clause in 1993 is what started the winner of the Royal Rumble gets to face the champion, whoever it is at WrestleMania.
Hmm.
So that's how that all started, which is pure genius. So now we're now going to talk about this Saturday night's Royal Rumble that's going to take place at Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Indianapolis Colts, out in beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana. Right now they're talking about there's about 60,000 seats that are sold, so I'm sure they're going to tout those numbers and then some by the time Triple H gets on the podium at the presser after the PLE is over. It's starting at 6 p.m., folks. Not 8 p.m., but 6. These
Hmm.
PLEs are getting earlier and earlier.
I
I
love
think
it.
we've been getting spoiled with these overseas PLEs starting at 1 or 2 stateside on the East Coast. I love it. Absolutely
I
love it.
love it.
So
Hmm.
this, I'm not sure how the match order is going to be, guys, but I'm just going to just see it how I think it's going to happen. It's a 2 out of 3 falls for the WWE Tag Team Championships between DIY, which consists of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, as they defend against Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley, and Chris Sabin. Now, I think this match is going to be a show stealer.
Hmm.
Look who's in the match. I mean, these are going to be some of the best workers in the world, and they're going to be on this grand stage. And I'm so happy for Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin because I mean, I have been clamoring for these guys to get signed for years because they deserved
Hmm.
it, and they're really, really good guys. But I'm kind of torn because as much as I would love to see Motor City Machine Guns win the titles at the Royal Rumble, I kind of want to see a nice lengthy run from DIY. What are your thoughts?
Um, I love the Motor City Machine Guns.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that it should be DIY? That's where
Mm-hmm.
things get a little tricky. Um, but okay. I don't hate it, you know? I think that I personally think Tommaso Ciampa is very underrated.
Very.
Um, I think Johnny Gargano doesn't get enough credit for the work that he has done, especially because he is another one of those indie guys. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I wish the WWE universe was more open to them.
I
So
would say
I
so.
don't know that. So I mean, the most recognizable name is Motor City Machine Gun, which is insane because again, if you truly know graps and you know wrestling, then like you should know DIY, right? You should know Johnny Gargano with
Right, right,
Bronze
right,
Shot.
right, right. I agree.
Um, so sure. Again, I think that they deserve better, but it's unfortunate that they just cannot connect with the main roster like they did on NXT because the two of them on NXT were just on fire. So yeah, I look forward to the match. I think it'll be a great match either way for sure. And it's a match that you probably didn't have on your 2025 bingo card, you know?
I didn't. I mean, especially a 2 out of 3 falls, and I
Yeah.
love tag team matches that are 2 out of 3 falls. It pulls at my heartstrings because probably my favorite tag team 2 out of 3 falls match was the Hart Foundation and Demolition from SummerSlam 1990, which got the Road Warriors involved, which is pretty cool too.
Uh-huh.
But I think in this instance though, I'm thinking Pretty Deadly might get involved in this match, and you know where I'm headed.
Yeah.
We could possibly get a TLC match at WrestleMania between DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, and Pretty Deadly. What are your
We
thoughts
shall
on that?
see. We shall see. I'm open
If
to
it
it.
if it happens, well, you heard it first here on the D-Lew podcast. What can I say? All right. So, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, there's only 4 matches total, including the 2 Rumble matches. So, it's I guess they're going to really give these matches some time. Obviously, speaking of ladder matches, of course, we have the ladder match for the WWE Undisputed Championship between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. Obviously, we talked about at the contract signing on Saturday Night's Main Event. Both the Winged Eagle and the current design of the WWE Championship will be hanging high above the ring. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where I think the story is going to end for our beloved American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Hopefully.
I think so. And again, I love Cody. And I mean,
Same.
here's the thing. I don't mind him being champion. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I like Cody being the face of the company, and he's doing a tremendous job at that. And obviously, people are have been very, very vocal about some of the booking that he's been given, and that's not his fault at all. We can't necessarily blame the wrestlers for what they're given. They just have to turn sometimes chicken shit into chicken salad, right? And I'm not saying it's all been chicken shit, but I'm just saying it's like sometimes it was a little wonky with some of the booking. Like even when he gave Kevin Owens a title shot just because it was like okay, and Kevin was trying to turn it down, and just like okay, where's this going? So, but I'm glad there's an arc there where they can go back to it, in which they clearly did. But I think somehow, some way, there's going to be some interference happening. I think with this one, with someone I mean, who knows who it might be that's going to interfere in this match. That's going to give Kevin Owens the edge and grab both titles to become the brand new undisputed WWE champion. How about you?
Agreed. I'm kind of over Cody's reign. I love Cody. I was
Mhm.
very happy seeing him win it all last year. I love it, but at the same time, like he's not with Roman. You didn't get tired of Roman being the champion, even though he was champion for like 45 years. You never really got tired of it, right? Because it kind of just flowed. It kind of made sense. I'm kind of tired of Cody right now. Like at this point, Cody needs something different. He needs to go total Homelander. Like it's just it's everyone makes the joke, but at this point, it's time. Like so,
You
yeah.
want to know why? But you want to know why you didn't get tired of Roman?
You didn't see him
Because
enough. Yeah,
he wasn't there every week.
yeah.
How am I
You
going to
didn't see
miss
him.
you? Right? How do I miss you if you don't go away? And
Mm-hmm.
that was in his contract. You know what I mean? Because the thing and what kept Roman relevant is that he was mentioned in the storylines. Like when
Mm-hmm.
Brock went away, Brock went home.
Yeah,
Brock,
exactly. Even when he was around, he wasn't around. He would have the first match in, and he'd be
he would
gone
go home.
immediately
He'll
after.
be yeah. He literally left WrestleMania 35 when he lost to Seth Rollins and went home.
Hopped on his
Deuces.
hopped on his PJ and was out. Same thing in Saudi. He's one of the ones that didn't get stuck because he freaking left on his PJ. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely see the truck stopping here on this WWE Championship reign. I would have loved for him to hold it for a year. It would shock me if he does retain, which lets me know there might be something even bigger happening at
Mania.
WrestleMania. So we shall see. Now, for the women's Rumble match, they're the only people that are mentioned that are confirmed for this Rumble. Now, get this: Nia Jax, Bayley, Charlotte Flair, Naomi, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez. So right now, that's seven right now. Now, surprises, I'm sure we're going to see some people popping up. Jordan Grace, we mentioned her earlier. One that everybody's going to be looking forward to, and that's going to be one Jade Cargill. A storm will be coming to Indianapolis, Indiana, and I believe whoever ran her over will be standing in the ring when she gets there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's going to
Yeah.
start a feud. Now, again, who it is, I don't know. Everyone thinks it's Bianca. Some people think it's Naomi. Some people think it's Charlotte. We don't know. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But who's going to win the Rumble? I mean, there's the obvious Charlotte. That's the obvious. But the man is coming back.
Oscar is my wild card.
Ooh. You mean of coming back or winning it?
Coming back.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not even a matter of if she's coming. She will be in the Royal Rumble. Absolutely. Um, it's really wow. This is going to be interesting. But am I allowed to pick maybe one or two winners that are
Oh.
possibilities? And I could be totally wrong, and you could pick them as well. I would say Charlotte
Hmm.
will be one winner, but also think the I think the second winner I think could possibly be maybe Raquel Rodriguez.
Mm-mm.
Nah.
Mm-mm. Charlotte, my second. I'm gonna say a face. So let's roll with, I don't even know. I don't
Yeah,
even
this
know.
is really this is hard to kind of grasp because they're like, wait a minute, like they've only listed just seven people, and there is going to I would imagine there's going to be some legends that show up. I mean, there's the think about it, Michelle McCool last year was sitting in the crowd with her daughter, and she went in the ring with Uggs on.
I heard Victoria is supposed to be in the ring.
That would be cool. That would be nice.
I wouldn't mind seeing Jacqueline. There are a few people who I wouldn't mind seeing. I don't know, but I'm really trying to figure out who my other person is. I mean, I know I love Charlotte, so I'm always gonna pick Charlotte.
Charlotte, yeah, I mean, Charlotte, I think she's going to be the odds-on favorite that's going to win it. I mean, there's no, I mean, at this point, this is she's on that GOAT status, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I love the vignette when she announced she was coming back at the Rumble.
yeah.
And I love the fact they didn't rush her back. Because you figure it's been a year since she's been out.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So we shall see. Because I mean, this you figure if she wins the title, let's just say she does win it and goes to Mania and wins the title, that'll be the 15-time champion. You know? So I mean, who knows? Who knows? So we're gonna go with I think the D-Lew podcast is gonna pick Charlotte Flair.
Hmm.
And we'll definitely revisit this next week when we recap this Rumble. But of course, we have the men's Rumble now, and who's listed so far are as follows. Let's see. We have LA Knight, John Cena, CM Punk, main event Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Rey Mysterio, Sami Zayn, and of course, the United States champion Shinsuke Nakamura. Now again, that's 10, and there's like I said, there's 20 guys that, you know, are going to be, and I would imagine guys like, Karrion Kross and The Miz and R-Truth and
Yeah.
Sami Zayn. Now, I will put it to you this way, and this is where I think it's going to get really interesting. By Kevin Owens winning the championship, this sets the table for the winner of the Royal Rumble to face Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, Sami Zayn.
All right.
But my second winner, I would say we could choose two. Sami Zayn is first, and CM Punk second. Your thoughts?
CM Punk, Jey Uso.
Hmm.
I think he's such a baby face right now. And I think that CM Punk is, if it's Punk, Punk's going to come in towards the end. If it's Jey Uso, they're going to have him run the gauntlet. So he'll come in at like number 3 or 5. He'll come in like
Five.
that
Okay.
early.
Right.
Um, because if it's a face, they want the face to like milk it. So they want the face to be there and
Oh,
like
for
handle
sure.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
it's going to be heel Punk, then it's going to be like 25, we'll say. I don't know. But
25.
those are my
Okay.
two. I got Jay and I got Punk. Those are my two right now. We'll see.
Yeah. I have
It very well could be Drew McIntyre.
Yeah,
Throw a
yeah, you
whole
you
wrench in
never know.
everything,
It's a
right?
whole it's like I said, we're just going off of what we think. This is
Right.
we clearly don't have inside knowledge, you know what I mean? But this is just thinking and by the way, every podcast that's in this space are going to have their own opinions about who's going to win it. Some they might match ours and they may not. But I think to me, if especially like if my prediction is right about Kevin Owens winning the championship, it makes total sense for the two Montreal boys to main event one of those nights of WrestleMania. And I mean, can you imagine the pop if Sami Zayn wins the WWE Championship at WrestleMania? We will have our Mick Foley moment 26 years later for when Mick won the title the first time on Monday Night Raw.
Hmm.
Because it's a guy that you didn't expect to ever be world champion. In the perception of a lot of people, maybe office people didn't see him as that go-to guy that could be a face of the company. Because heck, even when Mick was the champion, he wasn't the face of the company. You had
Right.
Austin, who was the guy. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it was like Stone Cold and everybody else. Rock in a close 1A, I would say, because Rock was still a heel. But at
Hmm.
that time when Mick won the title, because he beat The Rock, but Mick wasn't the face of the company. He was a team player, and that's okay. You know what I mean? But I truly believe that could set the table for that. So, all in all, what do you think about how this is going to lead? And I know we're gonna this again. It's too early to predict Mania and everything, but this Royal Rumble, when how it's presented, how it's not a lot of people named. You know what I mean? Is how do you
Yeah.
think this is being presented right now?
I can appreciate the kayfabe. I can appreciate the kind of mystery flair around it right now. So like I don't hate it. Me and you talked about before. We love being fans, right? So surprise
Right.
me. Throw in some TNA folk. Like let's have some fun.
Speaking of TNA, wouldn't shock me any. We had some TNA folks come
That's what I'm
through.
saying.
I
That's
mean, can you
literally what I just said.
imagine? He's not going to be Nick Nemeth, but he'll be Dolph Ziggler. I would love to see that. Can you imagine?
Did you notice that they are only advertising Joe Hendry for half of the Jericho Cruise now? Just want to point that out. Take that information with
Ooh.
what you will.
Ooh.
Just want to
Because
point
you
that out.
know,
He's
you
no
know what
longer
happens
being
when you
at.
say, "Hey, listen," when you say his name, he'll appear. But
Only for half the time on that cruise now. So I'll just say that and leave it at that. Yeah,
yeah, you know what's funny? I totally forgot about the Jericho Cruise,
doesn't everybody? You're supposed to. It's fine. He's somewhere
and
riding
it's
him and his wife. It's
it's
fine. It's fine. It's fine. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if some TNA folks showed up. Obviously, yeah. I just don't want to see one person. Two people. Two people I don't want to see, but that's fine.
oh, and we know who they are, and no. And based off of a certain chant at that certain person, yeah, I don't think they will
I don't
even,
think she's popping up, but they're still questionable of the gentleman who I don't want to see
yeah, I don't want to see him either. No,
unless he gets squashed by Obafemi. Then sure, I'd love to see that, but that's here nor there.
that's neither here nor there. Well, before we get out of here, as always, let the people know, where they can follow you on social media as well as your podcast, because I know you're doing some things in and outside of pro wrestling on your on your YouTube channel. So let them know what's going on.
So you guys can find me at Hi Gabrielle on all social media and follow our women's podcast, Lip Gloss and Ladders. Yeah, that's where you guys can find me. Hope to see you all soon.
Yeah, like I said, she's been covering the new women's all women's basketball league. That's an alternative to the WNBA. She's doing a tremendous job of highlighting, what the goal. Speaking of which, did you hear about Kelsey Plum
Love
being
it.
traded to the
Sparks.
Los Angeles Sparks? I'm like, they
I
didn't want to
kind of
keep.
I no, I think that so number fair, she had to sign off on her trade because she was a unrestricted free agent, or she's a restricted free agent. So
Mhm.
she had to sign off on it. I think with everything going on in her personal life, her divorce had happened last year that was very much in the media. I think she just wants a fresh
Mm.
start. Um, so I'm happy for her, obviously. Yeah, I just think it'll be very interesting. The Aces this year will be very interesting. And I think, honestly, the Spark will be very interesting this year. I think that the combination, you have Cameron Brink coming back.
Mhm.
You have Derrick Hamley running around. You have now Kelsey Plum. Rakia has been going off out to Detroit. Like, I think that the Spark may have a chance to kind of do something this year. Everyone, they kind of fell off, but I think it's time for them to come back. The Aces, it got a great player as well, and they played with her before. So, like, let's see how this plans out. But yes, I did see that trade.
I was that shocked me, and I mean, well, number one, the Sparks are getting a tremendous player, a veteran, a champion, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's good for the locker room. Now, selfishly, I wish he was traded to my New York Liberty, the defending, reigning
So we ain't going nowhere.
2024
Y'all be fine.
WNBA champions, and I never had a chance to talk about this publicly, but let me tell you, like, I remember the inception of the WNBA in 1997,
Mm-hmm.
and watching it, paying attention to it. You got Teaspoon and Rebecca Lobo, who I was following at UConn back in the
Loved
day.
her. That was like my introduction to the game was her. Like that girl, my heart. I loved her.
One of my old coworkers, Tanya Boone, actually played with Rebecca Lobo at UConn. She graduated in 90. So T Boone graduated in 94. She graduated a year before she did, and she gave me an autograph that I still have to this day. Um, to Derrick, my favorite person on earth, Tanya Boone, number 14. But yeah, I was tweeting with Rebecca Lobo. This is many years ago now, and I, she was like, ask her about something, something. And I tweeted her. She was like, oh my God, yes. So they all know each other, and they, played a lot of basketball together. I mean, UConn is an institution.
Powerhouse.
And
Mm-hmm.
I would be remiss if I was to, say, and obviously, as we're recording this on the Monday night, yesterday was the 5 year anniversary of the tragic, and I mean tragic passing of the late great Kobe Bean Bryant, and of course his daughter Gianna. And it's crazy to even to fathom of the impact that Gigi was going to make in women's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I believe truly that she would have been the face of the of women's sports
Mm-hmm.
because of how she was so gifted at a very young age and had that mama mentality since she was, she's out of her mom's womb. So, you know, it's just like hard to even to think about, as I was just thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, man, but didn't want to end the show on a somber note. But I will say that, as this show is going to be, as you can kind of sense, ladies and gentlemen, me and Gabby are going to be talking about more than just pro wrestling. And like I said, it's going to be going to sprinkle a lot of other sports involved, and including, some pop culture as well. So stay tuned for that. Well, Gabby, as always, I thank you very much. We're gonna be kicking ass, and looking forward to some great things this year.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that does it for this week's edition of the D-Lew podcast. Again, I want to thank Gabby for all of her continuous contributions here to the show. And like I said, big things on the horizon for the both of us. But as always, make sure that you subscribe to the D-Lew podcast on multiple platforms such as Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to leave a comment and give us a 5-star rating. Spotify, and most importantly, YouTube. You can go to my YouTube channel. You could look up The Real DT Lew, or you could look up just Derrick T. Lewis. You can hit subscribe, and you'll get the D-Lew podcast every Thursday at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. You can also follow us on all social media. So the D-Lew podcast is on Instagram, Threads, X, formerly known as Twitter, Blue Sky, at the D-Lew podcast, as well as if you look on Facebook, of course, it's the D-Lew podcast. My social media, it's at the real DT Lew on all platforms except Facebook, which is Derrick T. Lewis official page. You can hit up my store, okay, my own store, all Derrick T. Lewis merchandise, all the D-Lew podcast merchandise over at shop.derricktLewis.com. And of course, I have a pro wrestling tee store. It's pwt.derricktLewis.com. Well, I'm going to get out of here. And as I always say, no matter what it is you do in life, always remember to make it count. See you next time.